The Corbyn craze hit Edinburgh today. The man himself looking rather unfazed by the awaiting crowd and press scrum. He refused to engage in counterfire after a fresh wave of attacks from his rivals for the leadership.
Do you care when your opponents say you've got no credibility?
I don't reply to personal abuse, to personal attacks, to personal criticism, because the policies are more important, the issues are more important, and we don't need to reduce our politics to a puerile level.
His supporters now feel so buoyant, they imagine Mr Corbyn at number 10 itself.
The next Prime Minister. The MP for Islington North, Jeremy Corbyn.
At the general election, Labour was practically wiped out in Scotland. And yet today, some voters felt a party with Mr Corbyn at the helm would bring them back.
Did you vote Labour at the last election?
No, I voted SNP at the last election because I didn't feel that people here were represented by the Labour Party in England. I don't think that Blair and any of the other candidates represent what's actually going on.
But Jeremy Corbyn could?
Yes, absolutely.
He's the only real Labour candidate in this election.
What do you mean by real Labour candidate?
Well, I mean by that somebody who stands for the values of Labour, the cause of Labour and the Labour movement, which is peace and not being dragged into foreign wars.
I voted for SNP. I voted Labour.
And if Jeremy Corbyn were leader, would that change your mind?
I would turn to Labour because he stands up for what I believe in, as opposed to former Labour candidates who are all for business and their playwrights at heart. So,
you know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of this Oxbridge gang, like Andy Burnham, like Yvette Cooper, like Liz Kendall, who have never worked a day in their life, who are never going to work a day in their life, trying to tell me what I should do.
Despite the fact only yesterday Andy Burnham refused to engage in negative campaigning, today he appeared to suggest Jeremy Corbyn lacks economic credibility. But he says he understands members may be feeling disillusioned.
Well, I understand the mood of the party is for change. You know, they don't want to see politics just carrying on as normal, business as usual. They're sick of politics based on sound bites and spin and the sense that politicians don't actually believe what they're saying.
Oh my gosh. Back in Edinburgh, across town from the Corbyn rally, Liz Kendall was holding an event of her own, albeit much smaller scale.
You've told your supporters to put Burnham and Cooper as second preferences, kind of part of this anyone but Corbyn coalition. So what's the point in you running?
Listen, I will never stop fighting for what I believe in. I cannot pretend to be agnostic about Jeremy Corbyn leading the Labour Party. I think it would be wrong. I think his policies are not new. They're the policies and the politics of the 1980s.
But there are those who are finding new energy in Corbyn's policies, including some who voted yes in the referendum. Miriam Brett will be at the rally in Glasgow tonight.
I think he represents a very different type of politics that we've seen from Labour for so long. So many people have been utterly heartbroken with Labour's continued shift to the right and pandering, I think, to a tiny minority of Tory votes.
And so while senior Labour figures continue to warn of the apocalypse that follows if Mr Corbyn is elected, he is resonating with some Scottish voters who have long felt betrayed by Labour itself.